Why hello there people of Polygon. Now a little while back I did a plot explaining some of the Easter eggs and inside jokes of my plots to celebrate reaching 300 plots. I thought, since there are so many of my plots, and they are actually very complicated, I would continue to explain them. I hope you'll enjoy this and maybe even be inspired to do similar things. Whatever happens, I'm sure it will be awesome. There are so many things to talk about, but I think first I'll talk about the recurring characters of my channel. The third character to appear on my channel, and the first male character, was a little man called Marco DeTerrio. I initially made him to even out the gender balance and to destroy stereotypes of Indian characters, only he accidentally fell into most of those stereotypes as he developed. In episode 1 of our flat, he was a friend and confidant to Helen. In episode 3 we learn that he's a hopeless romantic with an eye for Molly. And it's the legendary episode 4, Fall Onto My Plane, that Marco blossoms into the character we know and love. Now if Fall Onto My Plane deserves to be an episode of this in its own right, it's jam-packed of references and inside jokes. But I'll just explain Marco's part. Firstly, Marco's code name is Warm Chinchilla. This is taken from the preparation for my level drama performance. Our characters were going to be named after colors and of course we researched shades of gray. And so my character was briefly called Warm Chinchilla while someone else was cyan. So Warm Chinchilla is a shade of gray. Later in the plot, Marco makes channel history by doing the first is that, with his that Batman. A line that would reappear in many of my plots, and morph into different forms. I like the idea of a character escaping a situation by exclaiming is that followed by a ridiculous person. In the first instance it was Batman, but perhaps more famously it was Bin Laden riding a seagull, though the character then was not phased and the line came from an attempt to prove insanity. More recently, my character posed as that Heston Blumenthal in the first Blotcon collaborative plot, not just a reference to my plot heritage but also to the fact that Heston Blumenthal was actually a BEDT and it was random as hell. And the line advanced to name-dropping obscure or bizarre things, leading to Pollock missing out on seeing all of his favorite weather presenters in one of my recent plots. After another failed attempt for Molly's heart, Marco was transformed by Supernatural Day into a fierce were pigeon. This was me running out of ideas and thinking what the lamest were transformation could be, to suit Marco of course. His change in hairstyle and dress is a tiny reference to the cat from Red Dwarf when they leave the supposed simulation in one episode. Marco is vaguely based on the cat. Marco then traveled in time to meet his past self. This version of him is actually the basis of the legendary Apple's character Austin Green, a character who basically is a living Easter egg. I've often pondered if Marco and Austin are related. The next of Marco's significant moments come in the spy plots. In episode 3 it appears that Marco and Molly are living together and Helen is faced with the ultimatum of only being allowed to take Molly with her if Marco comes too. She chooses to ask Harry over this and gets Elton instead. This is actually the first instance of the two characters working together. I blame Marco entirely. In his next appearance, he sets up the long order, complex name, running gag. His order of a coffee with a little umbrella inspired the name's an ode to an inner monologue among many things. It also inspired the description of the online form Chris from Power Man filled and wrong in the second series. After a wild duel with a character called Justin and an unexpected partnership with Pollock, Marco essentially disappeared for quite some time, only reappearing when the channel turned 1, and since he was born in the first episode, it was his birthday. It was only at this point I realized I'd misplaced Marco among my series and explorations of Helen and Molly and Pollock and Elton. Then a quick plot, based on the original series, got quite a bit of attention, and who was I going to make a significant character? Marco DeTerrio. He is described as a hermit by fellow characters and seems to have been attempting to grow lemons in England, this being the only explanation of his absence. In the second episode he seems to be enjoying being higher than another character for the first time, playing ballerina with the new character Edgar. And since then, Marco has disappeared once more as I have been distracted by life and other characters. Maybe one day Marco will get a series of his own. But until then he lives on through his running jokes, and also through Austin Green. See you next time. when I'll be discussing Alton and Pollock.